Hello everyone, greetings from SGT University. I am Dr. Nandakumar Bhujam from the Department of Clinical Psychology. Today in this lecture, I am going to talk about obsessive compulsive disorder, and subsequently I will explain the treatment, how it is treated using exposure and response prevention. First, let me explain what is obsession and compulsion. Obsessions are intrusive and unwanted repetitive thoughts, urges, or images that often lead to a marked increase in anxiety or distress. Whereas compulsions are repetitive behaviors or mental acts that an individual feels driven to perform in response to an obsession. Let me give you some examples. An OCD sufferer with the obsession of dirt and contamination, whenever he touches any objects such as bag, chair, doorknob, he perceives his hands to be dirty, infected with germs, and he washes his hand again and again till his distress and anxiety gets reduced. Another example, an OCD sufferer having recurrent thoughts that something bad will happen to his father, which creates anxiety and distress to the patient. To reduce this, he walks one step forward and one step backward for 6 times. What are the various types of obsession? Dirt and contamination, pathological doubt, somatic obsessions, and sexual obsessions. What are the types of compulsions? Washing, cleaning, checking, counting, ordering, arranging, and ordering. The lifetime prevalence rate of OCD in India is 0.6%. The mean age of onset is between 21 and 35 years. 65% of the patients develop OCD before the age of 25 years, with only 15% of patients develop after the age of 35 years. Females are more prone to develop OCD. However, early onset is more common in males. In females, onset is often during adolescence, with some developing OCD during pregnancy. Onset in childhood or adolescence can lead to a lifetime of OCD. The common comorbidity are anxiety disorders such as panic disorder, social anxiety, generalized anxiety, and specific phobia. Depression, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, and tic disorder. According to the learning theory, obsessions are conditioned stimuli. When a relatively neutral stimulus is coupled with an anxiety-provoking stimulus, through conditioning, it will produce anxiety even when presented alone. The compulsions reduce anxiety, and the patient repeats them and learns them in order to avoid anxiety. According to psychodynamic theory, Freud originally suggested that obsessive symptoms result from unconscious impulses of an aggressive or sexual nature. These impulses cause extreme anxiety, which is avoided by the defense mechanisms, undoing, reaction formation, and isolation of affect. The disorder was thought to result from a regression from the Oedipal phase to the anal phase. The coexistence of hatred and love towards the same person leaves the patient paralyzed with doubt and indecision. Biological hypothesis states that dysregulation of serotonin and increased dopamine transmission in patients with obsessive compulsive disorder. There is an increased metabolism and blood flow in the frontal lobes, the basal ganglia, and the cingulum of patients with obsessive compulsive disorder. The psychopharmacological treatment includes selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which includes fluoxamine, fluoxetine, sertraline, provides a first line of pharmacological treatment, and also clomipramide, which is a tricyclic antidepressant, is used as an anti-obsessional agent and proved to be effective in the treatment of obsessive compulsive disorder. Now let me explain a case narrative. Index patient, 29 years old, Hindu, married female, housewife, educated till 12th standard, belongs to middle socioeconomic status, came with the chief complaints of excessive cleaning, fear of dirt and contamination, multiple times bathing in a day for the past 2.5 years. Patient was apparently well 2.5 years ago. A few days after a second child was born, She started to experience excessive preoccupation with the cleanliness inside the house. She reported that her husband has mild mental retardation. He had developed asthma 2.5 years ago, along with some sort of allergy over his head, due to which he had to go bald and still had rashes over his head. This started to make her feel disgusted, and she stopped going near him and stopped the interaction of her children with him, fearing that the children might also get ill. Furthermore, when she went out to meet some old and ill person in the neighborhood, due to which she felt very much distressed. Later on, the old person died of cancer, which gave rise to a belief that dirt can cause cancer and ultimately a person dies. She also met another person in the neighborhood who had tuberculosis, and the excessive coughing also made her irritable and disgusted, due to which it gave rise to her anxiety about sick people and started to avoid going out of the house. She also started to experience anxiety on looking at pigs, feces, sweepers, shepherds, garbage, dirty dustbin and sewage. She had to take bath to reduce her anxiety. She reports that she has reduced to go out of the house, and if she goes out, she takes bath as soon as she comes in. She doesn't let anyone enter the house. They have to take bath before entering the house, including her children. The washroom that she uses in the house, she doesn't allow others to use it. If she touches or sees any dirt in the house, she cleans it immediately and takes a bath. Similarly, she makes her children to do it. Now I'll explain about exposure and response prevention. Exposure and response prevention is a form of cognitive behavior therapy. It is an evidence-based treatment for patients with obsessive compulsive disorder. It is based on the principle of extension of classical conditioning. Exposure and response prevention aimed at teaching an individual to approach rather than avoiding anxiety-provoking stimulus, coupled with the prevention of anxiety-neutralizing behavior. Therapy starts with the establishing rapport. Sessions begin with small talk focusing on the patient's interest, strengths, previous achievements, and accomplishments. This helps in establishing rapport with the patient. Symptom checklist is used to know the types of obsession and compulsion. Yale-Brown Obsessive Compulsive Scale was administered to know the severity of obsessive and compulsive symptoms. Further, psychoeducation was done. It focuses on removing blame and misconception the patient may have placed on herself, explaining to the patient that OCD is a neurobehavioral disorder with an unknown cause, explaining the signs and symptoms of the illness, conducting an inconvenience review to make aware of how OCD is disrupting the patient's life, explaining the medication side effects. Further, treatment rationale is explained to the patient. You have a psychological problem called OCD. Whenever you see any person use the toilet and don't take bath, you assume that the person is dirty, and if you touch him, you will get contaminated. Thinking this, your anxiety increases, and this produces dizziness, and you may get serious illness and you may die. To reduce the anxiety, you take bath or wash your hand or make other people to take bath in order to reduce your anxiety. You also avoid going out so that you will encounter this unpleasant situation. Similarly, when you see pigs, any ill patient, garbage, your anxiety increases, and think you may get contaminated and fell ill and die. Many individuals with OCD are highly motivated to fight to control their obsessions. However, fighting with obsessions is likely to do more harm than good, as there is considerable evidence to show that attempting to control obsessions is likely to increase the frequency and intensity. The best way to deal with the thoughts is to get used to them without doing things like hand washing, bathing, and avoidance. It is important that we work out ways of stopping behavior like washing and avoiding so that you discover that the things you are worried about don't happen. As you do these things, then you will get anxious at first, but you will find that anxiety gets less, usually more quickly than you would expect. Explaining the anxiety graph. One of the valuable things you learn through treatment is that the anxiety does not increase to the intolerable levels and it often subsides more rapidly than you might expect. Sometimes anxiety starts to reduce within 20 minutes, more usually half an hour to an hour. Another important thing which you will notice is that after you have done exposure 2 or 3 times, the amount of discomfort you get at first becomes lesser and lesser. This is the best indication of how the treatment is working. As time goes on, you will find you will be able to do the exposure in this way and get no discomfort at all. Developing anxiety hierarchy. Distress was assessed using the subjective units of discomfort scale, in which subjects assign a number 0, that is no distress, to 100, that is highest distress, to each feared stimulus. A hierarchy of all feared stimuli was then arranged according to the subject units of discomfort scale. This hierarchy served as a template for designing specific exposures and determining the order in which they were addressed. The following are the anxiety elicited from the patient: dustbin 20%, sight of tobacco spitting 30%, sewage 40%, sweepers 50%, patient admitted in the ward 70%, an ill person in the OPD patients 85%, pigs 100%. Implementation of exposure and response prevention. The therapist exposes the patient to the least anxiety provoking stimulus and allows the patient to experience anxiety and preventing the patient from doing rituals or neutralizing behavior. In our case, the therapist exposed the patient to the dustbin, which showed a SUDS of 20%. The patient started to feel anxious and the therapist prevented the patient from doing the compulsive behavior. After 20 minutes, the anxiety reduced to an optimal level. This was continued till this particular anxiety provoking stimulus was no more provoking anxiety. Next, the therapist exposed the patient to a floor spitted with tobacco, which showed a SUDS of 30%. The patient started to feel anxious and the therapist prevented the patient from doing the compulsive behavior. After 25 minutes, the anxiety reduced to an optimal level. This was continued till this particular anxiety provoking stimuli was no more provoking anxiety. Subsequently, in a similar pattern, other anxiety provoking stimulus in the hierarchy was exposed one by one till the highest anxiety provoking stimulus was exposed and prevented successfully. Coping strategies. Cognitive self-statements such as, if I ride through my anxiety, it will eventually go down, and humorous visualization. For example, patient was told to visualize the germs as funny looking cartoon creatures. Patient was given daily homework assignments consisting of 2 hours of exposure and response prevention to the situations and objects addressed in session. Records of homework exposures and SUDS level were kept by patient and reviewed at each session. Home visit. The therapist conducted few sessions at the patient's home to facilitate generalization of the treatment gains. This is the brief summary of the sessions. To conclude, exposure and response prevention is the first line of treatment in patients with overt obsession and compulsion. It is found to be effective along with clomipramine and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Today, we discussed about exposure and response prevention. In the next lecture, we will be discussing about cognitive error. Until then, keep learning, keep going. See you next time.